and welcome back to the D1 podcast, episode 5. So today we have on Sharon, founder of the Luca Foundation. Now, I've said this from the beginning. I want to have real people with real success stories, also people who have faced real life trauma and they've overcome it. Sharon, unfortunately for herself and her family, went through the worst nightmare that a parent could go through, the loss of a child. Using that pain, using the trauma which she had, she overcame that and she set up the Luca Foundation to ensure no family will go through the pain which her family suffered. Give this one a listen, it's deep. That's also a brilliant way to start. So welcome to D1 Podcast, Sharon Luca.
Thank you.
Okay, so just introduce yourself, tell us what you do.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Sharon. I'm a founder of the Luca Foundation. I'm a grief coach. I'm a mom of 2 boys, and I have a chronic illness called fibromyalgia.
Okay, so this is a different type of podcast that I've done.
Yeah.
So I've always got it, as you can see, real life, real success, real people. But success can be measured in multiple different ways. So it doesn't necessarily need to be material. Success can be overcoming an issue, overcoming trauma. And I think that out of everybody I know, what you have done and what you've overcome as a parent is honestly hands down one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen. So just explain, what does the Luca Foundation do?
Okay, so we support hospitals with equipment they use in baby loss.
Yeah, let me just put that there. Go on, carry on.
And a cuddle cot is used when a baby dies, and it preserves the baby's body because they're so small, they deteriorate very quickly.
Mhm.
And to give families more time with their baby, the cuddle cot is vital to be in place for them to have that time. I call it the gift of time because it gives parents up to a week to say their goodbyes. Without it, they've only got a few hours, which is sadly what happened with us, because our first son, Luca, he was stillborn at full term, complete utter shock. And sadly, we didn't have a cuddle cot. They just came out that year, but later on in that year. And so we only had a few hours with him, and it tore me apart when they took him away from us because I just hadn't had enough time to hold him. And so when the cuddle cot came out and I found out, this was actually 6 years later, I found out, and I'll go into that a bit later, but I realized that actually what we went through and the trauma it caused us, which eventually made me ill with fibromyalgia, I couldn't let other parents go through that. I know how desperately I needed to hold on to Luca, and I f- I realised that cuddle cots were in the hospitals, but the hospitals had no means of repairing them, and the government doesn't fund them. They don't deem it as vital equipment because it's not life-saving equipment.
Mhm.
But what actually it does for the mental health of those parents, it is absolutely vital. So I set up the Luca Foundation, and all the funds go to the NHS to ensure that the cuddle cots are working in order for when they're needed.
Okay, so we'll go on to Luca in a second, but so a cuddle cot is something which is basically there to preserve the body.
Yeah.
And it enables you to keep the body with you for longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so up to 7 days.
Yeah.
What does that then give the family? So, and as obviously I've already said to you, and obviously as you're aware, I've never been through anything like what you've been through, but we've been through the prior stages. So whilst I can understand the loss of a child, I can't understand the loss of it actually being born. So being able to physically hold something in your hand and then having more time with it, like what does that mean?
It's the love, when your baby dies, it's a shock. And you're in that shock mode for probably a good 48, 72 hours. When you go into the grief mode, when the shock that's hit you, and now you're going into the grief journey. It's so important to have your baby in your arms when you start that grief process, because that's who you're grieving for.
Hmm.
And mentally, what that does means, the parents taking all their features of the baby. They get to make memories. They get to hold them in the cold cuddle blanket and take photos. These are the only things they're going to have for the rest of their lives. They might want to take handprints and footprints.
Yeah.
They may want to do the casts of their hands and feet as well. We have affiliations with people that do those casts for stillborns as well. So parents have got their hands and feet in their home forever.
Hmm.
And that's what a cuddle cot allows, is those times for the grandparents to come in and see their grandchild,
Yeah.
siblings come in and see their brother or sister, and uncles and aunts as well. Whoever the parents want to see their baby, they've got that time over a week. Nobody has to flood in and come and see them quickly like we did. We had an hour window where our parents and our siblings could come and see Luca, and that was it. But they couldn't hold him,
Yeah.
and my dad wanted to hold him.
Yeah.
And I said to Dad, I think he's really fragile, because the moment he was brought to us, and actually, by not having a cuddle cart for us, they actually misplaced him for 9 hours. They took his body. Now, this to this very day, 14 years later, he would have been 14 Sunday just gone. And we have no answers as to why he was taken to a different room, why he was left there, and the midwife didn't tell anyone where she'd left him. And she went off to deliver other babies and stuff, never came back to him.
Wow.
9 hours we were asking, where's our son? Where's our son? And we were in bits. We were absolutely in bits. In my head, I'm thinking there is a child there in a white blanket, um, can't cry. Somebody could have put other blankets or washed things over him and put him down a bloody laundry chute.
Mm.
And this was the added trauma for us at that time, of just not having him. And Jazz went out at one point and said to the midwife, I don't know where our son is. Do you know where my son is? She goes, oh, are you the father of the dead baby? A midwife saying that. And again, and that put us in bits as well, and it was just constant. So this is, again, another reason why the cuddle cot should have been there. And if he'd have been there, he would have been cleaned and put straight into the cuddle cot, and we wouldn't have lost those hours with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the parents, it's absolutely vital. And when he was brought to us after those 9 hours, his blood came out of his nose.
Yeah.
And I thought that's because he's being moved and stuff. So I said to my dad, I think he's a bit fragile. I
Mm.
don't think we're meant to hold him,
Hold
because
him.
they
Yeah.
didn't tell us that we actually can, take him out of the Moses basket and hold him. And I regret that now. I live with that regret, because I know my dad asked to hold him,
Mm.
and I said, I don't think we can,
You can. Yeah.
and really should have been able to.
Mm.
And that's what the cuddle cot allows. All of those things that I've said.
So, like, see, me and you've spoken a little bit about it, and it's a little bit of a, like, let's say it's a taboo subject, because people actually don't understand it. So, from speaking to you and knowing your story, I understand it. From going through stuff that we've gone through, I understand it. But there's a lot of people out there that will probably think, "Oh God, why do you want to hold a dead baby?" And what would you say to them is the importance? Like, why is a cuddle cot so important? So yes, to create the memories. But a lot of people, again, just playing devil's advocate, they're going to be like, well, why do you want to create memories? Because it's like they're false memories, right? And I say false because they're not false, because at the end of the day, that's your actual reality at that
Yeah.
point. So you're living that. And I don't want to say nightmare. It is a nightmare, but you're living that moment. So what would you say, like, to them people? Because I've not just heard about your story, I've heard of several people having the same circumstance, same situation, reference the giving birth to a stillborn, or the baby passing away after birth. and then they want to do things with the baby. For example, let's say hypothetically, take it for a walk in a pushchair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People want to create their memories, but then someone's going to say, oh God, why would you want to do that? I don't want to be next to a dead baby. Because essentially, as well, in reality, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say?
That's your flesh and blood.
Yeah.
That is your flesh and blood. You know, that's your most precious. You love that child when you're carrying that child. You know, a father loves that child when he see, you know, from conception as well. It's
Yeah.
no different. Just because a mother carries the child doesn't mean the father's love is any less. And when it's your own flesh and blood, and if you've got, you know, you've got children, those people that would say that if they have children themselves, God forbid something happened to their child, would they not want to hold them?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't, it's the worst thing to ever imagine is your something happening to your child.
Yeah.
But if it did, are you going to say, no, that's it, they've gone, I don't want to hold them, I don't want to see them? No. And
Yeah.
it's the same for when you have a baby that's died.
Would you say that you have to have a child to understand it?
No, no. I think a lot of people that have compassion for what we do are uncles and aunts,
Mm.
you know, or people that wanted children and couldn't have children,
Yeah.
you know. So there's, yeah, I don't think you have to have children to understand this.
Okay. So, in your opinion, cuddle cots, should they be on the NHS
Yes.
as a mandatory?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't even doubt that for 1 second.
No.
Yeah. I agree with you. And the reason why I agree with you is exactly that. Like when you're in that situation and you have something taken away from you, and you have, at that point, you're at your weakest moment.
Yeah.
And if I was to be given the opportunity to be able to spend a minute, let alone a week, an extra minute, I would do it at the blink of an eye.
Mm.
So I would say that, yeah, it should be. And if the NHS is genuinely concerned about, I don't want to say health, but an NHS is stretched as it is, I get it, but mental health is a massive thing.
It is.
And I'm quite mentally strong, but I know when we went through what we went through, that has 110% been the lowest moment of my life. And 10 years on, I still can't understand it. And truthfully, 10 years on, it still kind of drives me, but it also still confuses me in the same breath. So, like, now obviously going past the cuddle cart, what actually happened with Luca?
So the reason he actually passed was medical negligence. And it was a growth scan that we'd had at 24 weeks. So I was quite athletic when I got pregnant with him. So I was quite lean. And so I was measuring small. And she said, it's probably because you got a small frame. I used to love my kickboxing and things like that. So I used to do that. And so she says, oh, I think we just want to do a growth scan just to check everything's okay. And this was at the midwife at the surgery. And she booked it in. And she says, oh, she says, the first one that came up was Friday the 13th of April, 2012. And she says, are you superstitious? And I said, I am a bit, but I'd rather know my baby's okay.
Yeah.
And she says, okay, I'll book it in. So I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, we went for the growth scan. And the woman who was scanning us, she knew the guy who lived in our house before us. So she just kept talking about that and the time she'd gone over for parties and all of that. Gave us loads of pictures of him, and she just goes, yeah, everything's fine. And it wasn't. She'd put the charts in the book, in our pregnancy maternity book. We don't know how to read those charts and stuff.
Yeah.
We're never told how to read anything like that. And so we took her word for it that everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, yeah, carry on. You're fine. And gave us loads of pictures of him and carried on. It was, I was 36 weeks. It's the first day of my maternity leave. And I remember We had a guy come in, he was putting in blackout blinds and stuff in the nursery and putting mirrors and whatever up. And I was watching as a fellow gooner myself. I was watching the football fixtures come out that morning. Massive kick, absolutely fine. I thought, wow, that one hurt, And watching the fixtures come out, and as the day went on, doing stuff, making cups of tea for the guy and stuff like that, just carried on. And he was always pretty quiet during the day anyway, like movements. Um, and that evening, the Euros were on, and big football family as well. We were watching the Euros, Jazz and I, my husband, and he always kicked when football was on. Always, like it was just like we always like, oh, it's going to be a footballer, and didn't kick, nothing, nothing was happening, and Jazz said, "Oh, baby's a bit quiet this evening, and so he went and got me a cold drink because that would normally get him moving. Got me a bar of chocolate. Normally get nothing's happening. Lay on my left side, nothing's happening. He says, "You know what? Let's just call the hospital." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." He did a massive kick this morning, and so we went hospital, and that was it.
And how many weeks was that?
36.
36. And then what?
The midwife said, "Oh, I'm having problems with this machine." She went and got a senior midwife, and I saw them look at each other. And then she goes, "Oh, I'm just going to get the doctor." She says, I can't work this machine. He's probably better at it." I thought, this is a bit weird. That's too. And they looked at each other, and I started crying. And I said to Jazz, I said, "Something's wrong." And he goes, "No, it might be okay. It might be okay." And so he's holding my hand and stuff. The doctor comes in, scans us, couldn't find the heartbeat, and just I can hear the words today, even now, so clearly. And he said, "I'm sorry," and whole this scream came out of me out of nowhere. Like I just couldn't control it. It was like, "No, not my baby." Jazz fell to his knees, cradling me and my tummy, and we were just in utter shock. Like, how has this even happened? He was kicking this morning. And they left us alone for a bit. We just obviously utterly sobbed. About 10 minutes or so later, they came back in. The doctor said, "We're going to have to scan you again in the morning because it's nearly midnight now on the 18th of June." And he says, "You're going to have to come back in the morning and we have to re-scan you because we have to have a second scan to confirm. And there's no one here to do that." And we were like, "What?" This is all just, it was just like words coming at us, and we just couldn't. And I was like, What's happened? Why has this happened?" He says, "We can't tell you right now. We don't know." And so we had to go home
Wow.
and go back the next morning. We were messed about by the hospital. We sat there in reception for about an hour.
Just stop there. How was that? How was that night at home?
Awful. We didn't sleep, and if we did sleep, we, waking up looking at each other, it's like, have we just had a nightmare?
Yeah.
Like, is this actually real? And that morning, then obviously Jazz had to phone his work, tell him that I can't come in, baby's died.
Yeah.
And then my brother Stephen, who I'm really close with, he was working in London at the time. And I said to Jazz, I says, "Phone my mum," because she was going to phone me later because I had an antenatal appointment that day. Phone my mum and phone Stephen. I need Stephen here. And so he phoned them too. And then we went off to the hospital. And I was just like hoping they'd got it wrong and that this second scan was actually going to say, "Oh, actually, no, we found it. There's
Yeah.
the heartbeat," And I thought, I was just like, please be wrong, please be wrong. And then when she scanned us and said, "Yeah, there is no heartbeat, that he's gone." It's just, you can't even it just doesn't go in. It's like he's there in my body,
Mm.
and I'm feeling like, he mi- you know, he. What if he just kicks now?
Yeah.
You know, it just wasn't real. It just none of it felt real, and
Because you can still feel him, can't you?
yeah, I'm like I can feel the weight of him.
Mm.
I'm full term here. You know, even 36 weeks. You know, in the
You're
class
full, yeah.
old classic old times for full term and stuff, and yeah. So then we had to see a doctor. They were like, "Wait here, we'll get the doctor obstetrician to come and talk to you." And then we were given tablets to induce me, and they were like, "Have these tablets," and then gave us some more and said, "Right, have these at night, and then come back again tomorrow."
Mm.
So go back home again.
Mm.
Went back home, had these tablets, and then Jazz had to tell everybody,
Yeah.
and that was hard. Mum and Dad, like, they had a shop and post office, they closed up. My sister worked in a bank at the time. She came home, and then them three came to see me in the afternoons. They were the first ones to come and see me. And my mum just cradled my stomach
Mm.
and said, "How can this be?"
Mm.
Because the Sunday before that, the 17th, was my dad's birthday and Father's Day. And we went to mum and dad's. Everyone was there. He had the hiccups. Everyone was touching my tummy. You know, oh, he's got hiccups, and you could feel them. And you know, mum was like, he was so active on Sunday. How
Yeah.
can this be? You know, although they weren't saying he because nobody knew he was a he at that
Yeah.
point. But you know, I'll say it now. But um, um, it was just, yeah, everyone was just utterly in disbelief that this could even happen when he was so active. He had hiccups, he was kicking, and we were joking because he wouldn't kick for my sister, but he would for his mama's, you
Yeah.
know, and stuff.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, all of that. It was utter disbelief.
Man, that's unreal. Honestly, it's unreal just hearing it and hearing it in that much depth. That's unreal. Like, I wouldn't even know what I would do going through something like that. You fully just thrown me with that. But fast forward a little bit, and then now obviously you have a son.
Yeah.
Let's take it back to a positive.
Yeah.
13 years old, Kai, but a big, strong boy. And this is where I will definitely speak about myself. Like when we had our first child, Saya, my daughter, after experiencing what we experienced, that 9, 10 months, man, like she could move and I was on edge. Like, or I could hear anything and I was on edge, or I get a phone call from Shani and I'm on edge. I could be going to London and I'm on edge, so how was that? Because now, like, you've gone through a full term pregnancy already. And I don't want to say it the way it sounds, but you don't have anything to show. So like at the moment, like, you don't have the baby with you. You have the memory of it, but you don't have the actual baby, right?
Yeah.
In this world. But then now, like, obviously, you've gone again, you're blessed to be able to see the pregnant sign again, which is a blessing in itself. The baby's growing fine. That 9, 10 months, go into that.
It felt like 10 years.
Yeah.
It felt, I mean, because I was an older mum, you know, we got married when I was 34, so I was 36 when I had Luca,
Mhm.
and 37 when I had Kai. And we were conscious, you know, when we had his post-mortem results, and they said, you know, there's no reason why you can't go on and have more children. And we were like, do we wait? Do we try and see if we can get over this grief? And we were like, there's no getting over this.
Yeah.
There is no getting over this. And I was a mom, you know, still had my post-pregnancy body.
Mm.
And I felt like a mom.
Yeah.
But like you said, with no baby in this world. And I
Yeah.
like how you say that, in this world.
Yeah.
Because they still existed.
100.
And they still exist in a different realm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it was, we talked about it, and I couldn't get my cycle back, which was obviously crucial to ovulating. And my mom said, you know what you need is just a break. Go away, have a change of scenery. And so my mom and dad paid for us to go and have a city break, and we decided to go Rome.
Yeah.
And Luca being an Italian name, everywhere we went, Luca,
Yeah.
Luca, Saint Luca here, Luca Square. This, it was just, he was like with us.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, I went to the Vatican. Well, we both went to the Vatican, but I prayed at the Vatican. And I prayed for my cycle to come back, because I wanted to be a mom to a living child as well. And we came back literally the week after my cycle came back.
Wow.
And I was like, right, that means now after this cycle, when I ovulate, we can try for a baby.
Yeah. You took it as like a sign, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had prayed and I'd prayed on it, and I'd said to God, I says, if I'm meant to have a baby again this quickly, can I have the baby before Luca's anniversary?
Yeah.
I says, I can't go and be pregnant through that anniversary, that first anniversary. So
It's gut wrenching, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. And we got pregnant, and the due date of Kai to Luca was 6 days apart.
Wow.
And we were like, whoa, that is it. This is going to be like deja vu.
Yeah.
Going through the same stages of pregnancy as I was a year ago. And but it dragged. It dragged so much. We were given a lot of appointments, just as the obstetrician, when she delivered the postmortem results, she did say, we'll give you a lot of appointments. And she told us about different obstetricians that we can be under. And she says there's different ones that will do different things. She says, I'm more about scanning all the time, scanning the baby, seeing how the baby's doing and stuff like that. And I says, well, I want you then.
Yeah.
And so she was like, okay. So as soon as I got pregnant, I went to obviously the doctor's midwife and said, right, I want this obstetrician. Can you make sure that I'm put under her? And so they did. So they did an early scan. I think it was 9 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
9 weeks. And then they did the 12-week scan. After the 12-week scan, she put me on aspirin just to make sure my blood was thin enough to ensure it was getting to the baby. And that's what it does. Just a little aspirin, half an aspirin a day. That was all it was. And I thought, if they'd have done that with Luca, he would be here now.
Yeah.
If they hadn't missed that growth scan, because ultimately what it meant was...
Is that so if they had done that, if she'd got that scan right the first time, they would have given you that half an aspirin, and then he would have been here.
And it's like, not even the NHS has to pay for the aspirin. It's like 90p or something for a box of them at the chemist. And so I just bought them. I just bought them myself, have half an aspirin. And it just started niggling me. It's like, well, if they'd have done this, then that means he would be here now. Because all they needed, because ultimately what was happening, he wasn't growing, was because I didn't have blood clots, but my blood was a bit thicker to go through the umbilical cord to give him the nutrients he needed. That was all it was. And that's what the aspirin does, is just thin that to make sure it is getting to the baby. And I started talking like, Jazz, this doesn't make sense. They should have... So we went into a legal case about it.
Yeah.
And so whilst I was going through the pregnancy, we also go through the legal case of telling them everything that's happened with Luca. And then we get to 23 weeks and a few days, I think it was. And I couldn't feel Kai moving.
Okay. 23 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we went to triage, and she refused to scan me because I wasn't 24 weeks. And we're sat there and we're insisting, look, our son died last year
Yeah.
because of negligence.
Yeah.
I want to be scanned. And she kept refusing. We sat in there, and our bereavement midwife walked past us in the corridor. And she said, what are you doing here? I says, I can't feel him moving. But this time we knew he was a boy. And she said, I said, they won't scan us because we're not 24 weeks yet. She went in there, barged in there. She said, you will scan this lady after everything she's been through. You will. And scanned us. And then we got a call from the obstetrician because Jazz had called her saying, look, have you got it? Are you here? Can you do anything? And so we'd got out of that scan, and everything was okay. And then she's like, come up to me and I will scan you as well. So she did an extra scan and everything was fine. He was just being quiet that day. But it puts you on edge.
Of course it is,
Every moment of that pregnancy, I was on edge. 24 weeks comes for our growth scan, 24 weeks in a few days. It was our wedding anniversary as well. And we went for the growth scan. We were going to go to Marco Pierre White for dinner. And we went to the growth scan and the same thing happened. He was small. And even though I was on aspirin, they were like, right, let's just increase the aspirin a little bit. And we'll keep scanning now every 2 weeks.
Yeah, on a
to get his
regular.
growth scan. So we were like, oh my gosh, how can this be happening? And the midwife, because she knew what happened with Luca, she'd delivered those results to us, those post-mortem results. Even her face dropped. You know, she was like, right, let's try and get you to 31 weeks and then we'll deliver him. So we were then now preparing to have a premature baby.
Okay.
And I was going into fetal well-being every second day. And then I was being scanned by her every 2 weeks. This is now from 24 weeks to when he was born, constantly at the hospital being scanned, being checked. Luckily, he started to grow. And then she was like, right, let's get you to 33 weeks. Let's see what happens then. Right, let's get you to 34 weeks. See what happens then. And then as we were approaching sort of 35, 36 weeks, I was so paranoid and anxious. I would prod my belly at night to make him move.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to make sure he's alive.
Yeah.
So I'm prodding my belly. And then I'm having nightmares. And I sometimes talk in my sleep, and Jazz was like, you're saying that you're going to die if he dies in my sleep. And I was like, I'm on edge. I'm on edge. So we wrote a letter because our obstetrician was like, oh, you could go full to 40 weeks now. So I don't want to go to 40 weeks because I don't know he's going to make it.
Yeah.
So we were on a battle there. So I wrote a letter to the head of obstetricians to the hospital and said, if you can't 100% guarantee my son will make it alive if I go to 40 weeks, then you will deliver him early. Because I can't go through those dates again in June without him in my arms. And I said, I know the day that I ovulated and that we conceived him. And I said, I can give you all of those dates. They're all in my diary. And we met with the head of obstetricians literally a week before Kai was born. And she saw what state we were in, you know, and she said, okay, technically you'll be 37 weeks and a few days.
Yeah.
From when you've conceived. So she says, we'll do it.
Okay.
So she booked me in to see an anaesthetist because we're going to have a cesarean. She booked me in to be in hospital 2 days before to have steroid injections to help his lungs mature. And then we had the C-section exactly a week before Luca's first birthday. I was completely, I had written in a prayer at Coventry Cathedral, that's where I go to worship. And I'd written everything that I wanted to happen in a prayer at the cathedral, and it came true. He was born exactly a week before Luca's birthday. I said, I need him between the 12th and the 16th to come here. Send him between those dates. And I said, I'd love for him to resemble his brother. Not exactly, but resemble his brother in some ways. And I want, because he'll be coming early, I don't want him to go into NICU. Don't want him to go into neonatal care. I want him to be perfectly fine.
Mhm.
Every word of my prayer was answered. He does resemble his brother. He didn't have to go into NICU. He was fine. He was breathing fine, everything. And I was fine. And I tell you, you know, when he was born and hearing his cry, we were waiting on the edge for that cry. It was like, I could breathe again.
I know, yeah.
It was the biggest sigh of relief that we'd been holding for that entire pregnancy.
Yeah.
And suddenly it was like, I can be,
Mm.
you know, and it was just, and then I just felt exhausted.
Yeah.
I felt terrible because all I wanted to do then was sleep,
Yeah.
because I hadn't slept during that pregnancy. I was
Yeah.
on edge the whole time.
Yeah. Essentially, you've gone to war with yourself, haven't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
And so I can't tell you how utterly, that I was so grateful. I was like, God, you've answered my prayers. You know, once we were back in safely into the room and he was fine, they've checked him over and he's dressed and all of that. And it was just me and him for a while. And Jazz had gone to tell everybody he's born and he's safe, you know. And it was just, oh my gosh, you know, the biggest relief in my life.
I got two questions for you, but I want to go with one before the other. The second one is going to be about your feelings and emotions. The first one is, so you've touched a lot on God there, but you're of Indian origin,
Yes.
but you're a Christian.
Yes.
And I know why, but explain that.
My mum was always Christian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So she, although they came here when they were 6,
Mhm.
both my parents, my mum went to a school where they taught the Bible.
Mhm.
And my papa, my nana, he was very open
Mhm.
about religion. He was
Yeah.
never a religious Sikh or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And nor was my nanny. So one of my mamas is Christian as well.
Mhm.
My masi and my other mama, they're very they're Christian, but they're not out like
I understand.
sort
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
baptized Christians. So I always grew up with both faiths.
Okay.
But then I went to a Catholic school
Yeah.
and I learnt the Bible,
Mhm.
and that's where I was pulled towards
So,
Christianity.
were you religious before or spiritual before
Before Luca,
before Luca?
I was in the sense that I would read my Bible, but I wasn't in the sense that I would go to church
Yeah.
and pray every day, pray
Mhm.
every morning, pray every night.
Yeah.
I wasn't until then. And I did go through that first few weeks of like, God, why the hell have you done this kind
Yeah.
of thing? Like, I had bought a Bible to read during maternity leave.
Mhm.
Because it's called the Everyday Bible by Joyce Meyer, and it's about understanding how the Bible fits into our everyday life.
Okay.
And I thought I really want to read that. And so I'd bought that and I thought, right, I'm prepared when I'm off for waiting for baby to come. I'm going to read that. And something in those first few weeks when I was drawing away from God was saying, read the Bible that you bought, read it, read it.
Yeah.
So one day I just read it and I picked it up. I thought, right, start from the beginning. The first few pages, there was this bit in purple where they put these blocks of messages in, and it said the devil will challenge God to test his most faithful servants
Mhm.
with the worst thing to move them away.
Wow.
And it clicked with me straight away. I went, okay, so this isn't God doing this to me. He's been challenged so that I don't have Christian faith anymore.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I was stronger in faith just through that.
Mhm.
I was like, no, I'm not gonna allow the devil to win here.
Yeah.
And I am going to start reading the Bible again then. I tell you now, that same Bible I read, I can't find that passage.
Is it?
Yeah. I can't
You
find
can't
it.
find the what you read?
Yeah. I can't find it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've read it to bring you back,
Yeah.
but now if you go through the pages, you can't find the.
Can't find
Amazing.
it. And it was like God had just meant for me to give me that moment of message.
Mhm.
It just appeared, got me thinking, and then disappeared.
Wow.
And um, but then, you know, my faith became stronger. Everything I prayed for through that pregnancy with Kai was answered. It was like God was saying, I will answer your prayers now because you were faithful to me.
Mm.
You didn't let the devil win.
Yeah.
And I do honestly believe that if you pray with absolute need,
Mm.
absolutely from the heart,
Yeah.
things that you need, not from things that you want,
Mm.
but things that you absolutely need,
Yeah.
it comes true.
Of course.
It's answered.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
I massively agree with you there. Like I'm a man of faith as well. I believe I'm in religion, cool, but I'm more spiritual, I would say, than religious. But I'm a firm believer if you can genuinely hand on heart, get down on your knees, be humble before him and be honest before the one that, you know, he will answer. He will test you before, absolutely, irrespective of what that test is and the depth of that test, but he will answer. And that's an absolute. Um, let's talk about your feelings and your emotions. So now, like, you've essentially experienced a parent's worst nightmare. I'm not going to say parents, a mother's worst nightmare, because you're saying it from a mother's point of view. So you've experienced a mother's worst nightmare. At that point, what are you feeling? Are you a ghost? You know, are you I always say I died inside. And to this day I say I died inside. I have emotion, I'm not going to say like that, but like I'm very very stripped back. Like you can't really affect me in that way. If barring something happening to the children, you know, I'm pretty bulletproof like that. How are you with that? Like how did you manage? How did you
It's
like
a journey.
how did you just get through it? Like was it that as a year is one heck of a year in itself.
Mm,
But now you've got Kai.
mm.
You know, Kai's good. Kai's in your arms. You know, Jazz has got Kai in his arms. Now Jazz is living the dream that he wanted. You're living the dream that he wanted. But you've still got it, you know, like
Yeah.
do you just a quick do you ever get over it?
No,
So how are you dealing with it?
you learn to live with it.
Yeah.
Um, one of the biggest things when Kai was born, and obviously being a week before Luca's birthday, so we every year we cut a cake for Luca on his birthday. Every year we've done that from day dot, and we buy presents to each other for Christmas, Father's Days, birthdays from Luca
Yeah, amazing.
to to like Kai or to Jazz or them to me. Um, we've always kept that, like kept him alive within our home.
Hmm.
Write his name in all the cards, all of that. We've always done kept that going. I put a tattoo of Luca on my wrist. We changed our name
Yeah.
to add his name into our surname. So most people know me as Sharon Luca now, which I love because that's my flesh and blood.
Yeah.
That's him who I have undying love for. Um, and the pain that I carry now, even though I have fibromyalgia and that's widespread pain, I always look at it as the pain of losing Luca because I wouldn't have had fibromyalgia if they hadn't to cause that much trauma to us. It was that caused me to become really ill. Um, the feelings in the first part of when Kai was born and people were like, especially in Uppany, you know, our tradition is like, you've got him back now.
Yeah.
You know,
Move on.
God's yeah, move on. You've got nothing to be depressed about now. You've got Luca back. I was like, he's not Luca.
Yeah.
He's Kai.
Yeah.
He's his own person. And it niggled me so much. About 6 months, I was like, that's it. I've had enough of people saying this. And again, one night I was praying. It was I remember it very clearly. It was a Saturday night, so that was my night off to watch a movie, and Jazz would have Kai and stuff and get him to bed and everything. And that night, I prayed to God and I said, I can't keep going through hearing that you've sent Luca back through Kai. I said, I need to know. You need to tell me. I said, I've had enough of hearing this. It's making me depressed. And I'd gone to the doctor and I just started antidepressants because I was now going through postnatal depression.
Yeah.
And then I prayed on it. And my dad's strategy, my great aunt, she's also Christian. And she talks in tongue, which is when you hear from the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd been praying on it that night. And then Tuesday, she phones me. And she says, I've had a message from the Holy Spirit to give you. She says, I don't understand it, but I'm going to tell you. The message is Luca was chosen as a special angel for God, and
Yeah.
Kai is Kai. And I cried.
Mm.
And she says, what's going on? Tell me. And I said, I've been praying for God to give me a message.
Yeah.
That if he's giving me Luca back, or if Kai is Kai.
Yeah.
And then she started crying.
Yeah.
And she says, now I understand it.
I get it. Yeah.
And I was like, right, Luca is with God. He's just been an angel.
Yeah.
And then I kind of felt honored to have carried an angel for God.
Yeah. Bit of you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bit of you already up there, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had my clarity. Kai is Kai. And when people started saying, oh, you've got him back and stuff, it was just going over my head then after that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, you have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like that. But the pain of losing him stays with you forever. It's always the what ifs.
Yeah.
You know, if he was here now,
Yeah.
Kai wouldn't be bored because he'd have his
He'd
brother
have-
to play
yeah.
with. You know, even the first time Kai even said, I wish Luca was here, was during lockdown.
Wow.
And he had his 7th birthday in lockdown. And at one point he was just like, just out of nowhere, oh, I wish Luca was here. We could play together. I'll tell you, it got me. It so got me. I just went upstairs and started crying. I was like, that's the first time
Yeah.
he has felt
Yeah.
that he hasn't got his sibling.
Sibling, yeah. Obviously, he's young there, but now he's older. Does he understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He totally understands. I know he still feels it.
Yeah.
You know, when his friends are talking about, oh, you know, it's my brother's
yeah,
birthday,
yeah,
my
yeah.
sister's birthday, I can't do this, whatever. And I know he feels it.
Yeah.
He won't talk about it. He will. I cry at movies now if somebody dies.
Yeah.
You know, I have done ever since. And he's used to that now, but he'll look at me.
Mm-hmm.
He'll always look at me like, mommy crying, that kind of thing. When we do Luca's birthday and stuff like we did at the weekend, cut his cake, and he knows I'm gonna lose it at that point.
Yeah.
And he does then, you know, kind of just gets really soft and sensitive with me and
Yeah.
kind of lets me be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a moment you thought you couldn't get through it?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. It was actually before we got the post-mortem results. So we'd had his funeral. And a couple of weeks after that, Jazz went to work. And when Jazz was at work, I went into a really dark space. And because we didn't know why he'd died,
Yeah.
in my head, it was my fault. I'd done something wrong, that my body failed him.
Mm.
And I went into a really dark space and I nearly took my life. The only thing that stopped me in that moment is something made me look at the clock.
Yeah.
God made me look at the clock. And I realised Jazz was going to be home in an hour.
Okay. What was the time? Do you remember?
It was 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And just after 5. And I thought, shit, I can't do this to him.
Yeah.
He's got to find my body.
Mm.
I can't do that to him. And I just broke down. I was still crying when he got home and he goes, what's up? You okay? Is something new? Like something else happened,
Yeah.
you know? And I said, I couldn't look at him in the eyes. And I said I was just going to take my life, and I realized I can't do it to you. And he then broke down,
Yeah.
and he's like, please don't ever do that.
Yeah.
He says, we will find out what happened to him. He goes, but please don't do that. He says, I couldn't live if you weren't here.
After how long did you have to go back to work?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Do you think that's enough?
No, no. I think he needed it though.
Yeah.
Um, I think generally it's not enough, but I think he needed it. He needed some sense of normality.
Mm.
Whereas for me, there's no way
Yeah.
I could even see people
Yeah.
that outside of the family and my immediate friends and family. Um, I couldn't go out. I
Mm.
couldn't, I couldn't. That was complete. So we were very different, and and what is very apparent over the years is even though we're grieving for the same person, we grieve very differently.
Absolutely. I think men and women in general do grieve differently. So like with me, it was very much like you've said, it was your body that let you down. Like you were thinking. To me, it's more like shit, I've let down. And then it was a matter of I've got to get there. I've got to be there quickly. And then because like you've certain things that you've said, like the dead baby, like we were told the baby's dead. And then it's a matter of you are just left to your own devices. And at that point, as you know, as a man, you're taught to be strong,
Yeah,
but you can't be strong when you're weak.
yeah,
So, you can lie as much as you want and you can put on whatever front you want. But when someone's just sitting there or standing there in front of you, essentially talking down to you, and you can't comprehend what's coming out of their mouth, and they're essentially just, I don't want to be disrespectful to them because they're doing a job, but they're feeding you shit because that's all that's coming in at that point
yeah,
because, your soul has literally just been ripped out.
yes,
So you don't want to hear a third person's words. You just want and vice versa.
mm,
You just want to be there for each other through it. But as a guy dealing with something like that, I honestly I don't think a guy is, I don't want to say mature enough because but I think that the world in which we're living and the way in which men are shown that they have to be,
mm,
I don't think there's anything there which says this is how you act in that moment.
yeah,
It literally is kind of like you think on your feet, and when you realize you can't think of anything, like it's very much like head in your hands. World, do you want to swallow me up now,
mm,
or do you want to swallow me up later? But please hurry up and swallow me up.
yes,
Like,
yeah,
and it's not about like, I wouldn't say it's about taking your life at that point for a guy. I would literally think it is about please just hurry up and swallow me up and take me to where I want to be. Like I don't want to be here. I want to be with him.
yeah,
Like along the lines of that.
yeah,
It's such a hard thing to go through. Like it's your story and my story is totally different. Your journey and my journey is totally different. I don't think I could comprehend what you've gone through, but I do know that from knowing your story, it definitely gave me strength. Like absolutely, I was just like, yo, if you've gone through that, how can I not get through this? And that's why I believe like you're gonna say like that Luca is an angel, and I'm absolutely with you on it. But I believe his story is one of an angel because without even knowing it, you would have helped people get through endless amounts. So in essence, it's not you that's helped them get through it. You're just the vessel to tell the story.
yes,
He's the one that's actually, the savior of other people.
yeah,
And that's like a lovely just way of saying it. So now what do you want for the Luca Foundation? Like, how do you want to take that forward? Because that's what we want to get across today.
yeah,
Like where are you struggling? How can people help? How can we help? How can raising awareness of the circumstance help?
yeah. We need funds. I mean, I'm not paid a salary even to do this. So a lot of charities out there, they pay themselves lots of big salaries and this, that, and the other. We don't do that. All our funds come in and they go straight back out to the NHS. So we need help. We need sponsors. We need donations. We need people to take on challenges and fundraise for us. I don't care if I don't ever get a salary from the charity. That's not why I set it up. But we have done other things. So like we created this teddy bear. Um which has this half a heart, half an angel wing on it. And I know you like your angel
I
wings.
love them. Yeah.
And that represents how my heart looks.
Yeah.
Like half of it is in heaven, it's an angel,
Okay.
and half of it is here with Kai.
That's honestly beautiful. I never knew that.
And it's called the endless love.
Yeah.
Endless love heart. Because it goes on forever. You
Yeah.
will love them forever.
Yeah.
But it opens at the back there,
Mhm.
just there, and it's got a tub in there.
Okay.
This one, actually, this is the one I sleep with, and it's got Luca's hospital bands in it,
Okay.
and I cuddle that every night.
Yeah.
But then I went on and wrote a book about loss, and which is called Life After Loss. So how we've started to live.
Yeah.
But then when Kai was 4.5, he talked about how did Luca die.
Yeah.
And then that conversation went into this book, which is called Why Did Grandad Die?
Okay.
And it's basically around when he was at nursery, he talked about Luca all the time. I've got a brother in the sky. That's how he's known about his brother since he was a toddler. Because he'd look at his photo in the house and like, that baby me. And I'm like, no, that's Luca, your brother. Where's Luca?
Yeah.
And I say, he's a star in the sky. So when the stars came out, he'd be, hi, Luca, and that's how he grew up through it. So at nursery, he did talk about it, and they supported him so, so well. First week of primary school, and they sit him on the carpet. Who's at home? Pets, siblings, all of that. And he said, I've got a brother, and he's the star in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Children laugh naturally. They
course,
don't
yeah,
understand that. Teachers didn't handle it at all well.
Yeah.
Even though I told them he would talk about his brother,
Yeah.
they just didn't. And he came home crying.
Yeah.
Just over 4, because he was 4 in the June. And he came home crying, Mummy, they laughed at me because I told him about Luca. And it broke me. And I was like, why did the teachers not support him? Later, I realised it's because they don't get grief training in schools. Teachers don't know how to talk about grief with children. And it wasn't till the Christmas holidays. So it played on his mind for 3 months. It wasn't till the Christmas holidays he asked me, Mummy, how did Luca die?
Yeah.
And I
How old
said,
is he at that point again? 5?
4.5.
4.5, yeah.
And I said, his heart stopped. And I said, if the heart stops, we die. And he says, does that mean my heart's going to stop? I said, no, you're fine. You keep eating well, you keep exercising like you do, all of those things, you're going to be fine. And then he knew about my German Shepherd, Kane.
Mm-hmm.
We've got pictures of him in the house as well. And he goes, is that how Kane died?
Yeah.
And I says, yeah, his heart stopped as well. And I says, but they're in the sky together, they play. And I says, Luca would be with him. They'd be playing now. Oh, okay. So he was happy with that. We were watching a film called A Dog's Way Home. Doggy film. He loved dogs. Obviously, by that point, my mum and dad still had another German Shepherd, so he loved him. And a homeless man dies in the movie looking after the dog. And he goes, Mummy, why is he not looking after the doggy?
Yeah.
And I said, I think he's died.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, well, why is his body still there? Why is he not a star in the sky?
In the sky, yeah.
I was like, wow, this is how kids think.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote the book.
Yeah.
And that was 2019 Christmas. 2020 was the year I wrote this children's book, and I got funding for it and things like that, and put it all together. Now, as a grief coach, when we get grants and funding for the book, I train primary school teachers to talk about grief in school.
Yeah.
And we donate the books to the school as well.
What do you think needs to change then?
Society.
Yeah.
Needs to change. We are really bad as a society about talking about grief. But the one thing in life that's guaranteed is death. And
It's the only thing in life that's guaranteed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we don't talk about it well at all. People will cross the street to avoid you, to not have to talk to you about your loss. I had that. People would avoid us. Jazz had that. His friends, didn't talk to him for months.
Yeah.
She just didn't know how to.
Yeah.
And he felt lonely. It was like these were my best friends growing up with me. And how can they not, one of them had a son a few months after Luca died. And obviously we were happy that all their babies, and, for us, his brother, Chaz's brother, had a son 5 days after Luca died.
Yeah.
And we were grateful and so happy that their son had made it,
Yeah.
you know? Um, but some of the things that were said along the way in our grief journey about, you know, these the other kids that were born, and we were obviously struggling ourselves. I couldn't necessarily hold him
Mm.
because it felt like I should be holding my son,
Mm.
and that wasn't to because I didn't like him
Yeah.
or I didn't have any love for him. It's because I was struggling,
Of course.
and our um society doesn't understand that.
I was just going to say, did society understand that?
No, no. We were told by somebody, and I won't name who they were, but oh, treat him as your son.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't,
You can't.
I
Yeah.
can't do that. That's not my son.
Mm.
And then obviously it was when we were pregnant. Oh, everything's gonna be fine. Kai was born. Oh, you've got Luca back. All these things that society and our Indian culture
Mm.
says is so wrong.
Do you think it's just an Indian thing, or do you think it's just a generic thing?
I think it's a generic thing.
Generic thing, yeah.
I think it's worse in cultural
Yeah.
settings as well,
Honestly, I can
but it
imagine.
is a generic thing.
I can honestly imagine. But because it is such a taboo subject, and I don't think it's talking about at all. I think that people just refuse to speak about it. If anything, people are embarrassed.
Yeah.
But I don't know, obviously, in terms of a percentage, but obviously, a lot of people miscarry early.
1 in 4 people.
Is it one? Okay, so
1 in 4.
1 in 4 people miscarry, and you know they don't have anything to show for it, so they can deal with it in private and get on after. You kind of had something to show for it. You can't go 36 weeks and not show.
Yeah.
So you're being shown like I don't want to like an you're your own advertisement board at that point.
Yeah.
So wherever you're going, your belly's getting there first because obviously the size of the bump.
Yeah.
So you can't hide it.
Yeah.
And like you said prior to we started recording, one of your friends in particular said, I don't know what to say, but I'm just letting you know I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, I think
I'm going to give a shout out to him because you know him as well, Pinks, because he'll probably listen to this.
If he
And it
does,
stayed with me
yeah,
forever. And
yeah.
I wrote it in my books. And
he's a gooner.
And he's a gooner
He's
as well.
a gooner.
He
Yeah, he's
is,
a very big gooner.
Yeah.
So he's got even more points.
Yeah.
But I think something like that, it's not you don't always have to have the answer for somebody. Sometimes it's just letting them know, like, do you want me to come and sit by you and just shut my mouth?
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know I'm there. Do you
Yeah.
need me to hold your hand? Do you need me to hug you? Should I
Yeah.
rub your head or
Yeah.
whatever you want?
Yeah.
It's just letting them know you're there.
Yeah.
So
It could be making food for somebody,
a
because
text.
we're not going to even. Stephen, my brother, who I mentioned earlier, he came and stayed with us when Luke passed away, and then when Kai was born as well. He was the one cooking for us and making sure we ate and stuff. And if we hadn't had that, I don't think we would have ate.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have even looked after ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's another thing people can play a part in, is just make a dish or wash the dishes.
Yeah.
Iron some clothes. Even just those basic things.
Yeah.
That we did not have the will to do.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference. And absolutely, what Pink said, and I use that in my grief training when I'm working with companies as well. I do workplace culture and all of that kind of stuff. I always say that in whatever setting, grief can be divorce.
Yeah.
It can be a loss of health. It can be financial strain. It
Of
can be lots of different
Yeah.
things.
Addiction.
Addiction, yeah. But one thing is, not everyone's going to have the right words.
Yeah.
But to say, like you said, Pinks said to us when he came in to see us with his wife, and he said, I just don't know what to say. I have no words, but we are here for you. And that made all the difference because that was what hit us, and it stays with me and he always texts on Luca's birthday, he never forgets. And it stayed with him as a close friend of
Cool, yeah.
ours, it stayed with them as well. Because it was the same year they had their twins.
Okay, amazing.
And we were all pregnant at the same time and stuff like that. So it does. It
Yeah.
it affects your friends and family as well.
Mm,
And they will remember and hold on to those things because they know how excited you were to
mm,
have your child.
yeah. Because
And it
they've
was
had it.
all, yeah,
Yeah.
and it was all torn away from us.
That's why I don't understand why it's such a taboo subject.
Mm.
Because if you've had a child, or even if you've not been blessed with a child yet, but you've seen the positive pregnancy test, which honestly is a blessing in itself.
Yeah.
There's people that don't get to see that.
You love that baby from that pregnancy
But
test,
yeah,
don't
but
you?
100%.
Yeah.
But at that point, like when someone says it's a taboo subject, or I don't understand what is the need for a cuddle cart. Like if you've had that, you should automatically understand that everyone deals with it different.
Mm.
Some people may want the cuddle cart, some people may not want it.
Yeah.
Some people may want it for a day, some people may want it for the full 7
Exactly.
days.
Yeah.
But everyone's grief is different. There is no right or wrong in it. It's just a matter of how I deal with it. It's how I deal with it because I have to get through it. I can't not be here.
Mm.
The world's not gonna swallow me up.
Mm.
So it's basically just a matter of giving options. So what you're doing is giving another option.
Yeah.
And essentially is giving someone a lifeline.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Because you're not just saving them in that moment, you're saving them tomorrow.
Mm.
Which is why I think it's honestly, it's a legendary thing to do. And honestly, like just seeing how you go about it, what you do, the posts which you do, the events which you run. If there's an, we will from the gym which we're in at the moment, we will start raising money somehow for the foundation anyway.
Thank you.
Like, and that's not just because I know you, and not just because I can relate to it, but before doing this, I won't lie, my understanding of it wasn't massive. I knew about it, but you can tell the pain in a person's eyes and just sitting in front of you and just going through it. And man, you're so strong just to talk about it in the manner in which you do. Like, it would eat me up.
You know what? It was on his 6th anniversary that I actually had a breakdown. And they always say grief is gonna hit you like a tsunami
Mm.
at some later date,
Mhm.
and it does.
Yeah.
Whether that's a year later, 2 years later, for me, 6 years later, and some it could be 20 years later. It's going to hit you again at
Yeah.
some point, and it did on his 6th anniversary. Kai was at school,
Mhm.
Jazz was at work. Before that, we'd always been together on the anniversaries. It was the year I lost my job as a project manager. So we were 60% down on our income,
Yeah.
household income. Everything that I had worked for in my life, my career, everything, it had gone. I was grieving everything. And then on his 6th anniversary, I had a breakdown like it all happened again. I was in bed for about a week
Yeah.
because it hit me so hard. I was just about getting up to get Kai to school, going back to bed, picking him up, and then Jazz would come home and take over. And but that breakdown, that tsunami that hit me, was actually my breakthrough. It's actually one of my best friends and your sister-in-law Ruby. She said to me weeks later, because I was talking about it and I wasn't crying. She says, "This is the first time you're talking about Luca and you're not crying."
Mhm.
And she says, "That breakdown has been your breakthrough." And she was absolutely right. Absolutely right. And it was then that I said to her, "You know what I feel like doing? Setting up a charity in his memory and make sure the cuddle cots are there for everybody." And I says, the breakdown was a lot about not having enough time with him,
Yeah.
not holding him enough. And that is one of the biggest things that stays with me is not having that time with him. And she said, "Do it. Just do it.
Mm.
Find a way to do it." And I did.
I think that's some of the best advice you can give to somebody is them word, just do it. And that doesn't just go for this. I think it just goes for anything. Just dip your feet in, see how far your feet carry yourself. You ever heard that song, Oceans?
Yeah.
It's one of the best songs ever. And it literally is about walking into the water. See,
Yeah.
like, God just carrying my feet, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the best songs, and I think honestly that is it. Just do it and just see how far it carries you.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to add?
Just we just need support. We really need support. There's 2,500 cuddle cots across the country. Every single one of them needs repair and maintenance or replacement parts. They are built in a way that they're sustainable. They don't need to end up in landfill. They just need repairing or servicing and stuff. Average service costs us £750
Per one.
per cuddle cot.
Yeah.
Average repair is about 350.
And is that for multiple uses or you use it once and that's
Multiple uses.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's training that the midwives can go through about making sure they're using it right.
Yeah.
So they can go through that training and make sure that they're cleaning it, putting it away properly, ready for the next person.
Yeah.
And I always say to the midwives is, when you put it away, make sure it's in working order, ready for the next parent,
yeah.
because you know it's going to be used.
And you never know when.
And you never know when.
Yeah.
I've been into hospitals where 6 have been in use at any one time.
Wow.
And that can be lost from 24 weeks onwards, which is classed as stillbirth. Anything before 24 weeks is classed as miscarriage.
Yeah.
However, a baby is fully formed from
Yeah.
18 weeks.
Yeah.
So if you lose your baby 18 weeks to 24 weeks, they're fully formed, but they're just really tiny.
Yeah.
But you can still use a cuddle cot
Yeah.
for them.
Okay.
And there's no reason why those parents should be treated any different to a parent who's lost and classed as stillbirth.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to get through. I want to make sure all the maternity units are doing that for parents, because we in Europe have the highest amount of baby loss in this country.
Wow.
In
England?
In England.
In UK, sorry.
15 babies a day on
Wow.
average.
Wow.
That's high.
Yeah,
That's really high. I've known, and I think it must be higher because I've known hospitals that have had all their cuddle cots in use for a week, 2 weeks. There was one lady actually who messaged me, because we have a sticker on the cuddle cot box that we've repaired it and that kind of thing. So she messaged me. She used it for 2 weeks. So her baby was born alive, but they knew she was going to die. So there was no need for a post-mortem. She wasn't going to make it.
Okay.
And she had it for 2 weeks. She says, I had her in my sight and in my arms for 2 weeks, right up until her funeral. So she never left her sight until her funeral.
It's unreal, isn't it? Honestly, unreal. Hand on heart, we'll do something in terms of raising the money. I don't know how much we can raise, but we will 100% will hit a figure for sure. I always try and end these on a positive. And I've never properly met you, but we've spoken a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know Jazz well.
Yeah.
Your partner well.
Yeah.
I knew him before I knew you. Going through what you've gone through is one of the most traumatizing experiences a human being can go through, let alone a parent, a human being. But going through it in the manner which you went through it and the way you've come out of it, man, you don't only give. I'm a strong-minded individual. I've always been strong. When something like that happens, it does break you. It doesn't matter how strong you are, it breaks you.
Yeah.
When you can see someone carry themselves in the way which you've both carried yourself, it gives strength in ways which you would never even understand. So genuine in his name, I'm grateful for him. Never met him. Obviously, I never, unfortunately, will meet him in this life. But I'm grateful for you just coming down, sharing your experience, for even having you guys in and around our lives and having the strength to go through it and come out of it in the manner in which you have. I'd take my hat off to you. I haven't got a hat, but I would take it off to you if I have. So I appreciate the heck out of you for coming down. We will do whatever we can. Honestly, man, I love you for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.